Hi everyone, it's Zach Beck here. I hope all is well and you're having a nice day so far. With that being said, today I want to talk to you about the differences between a Roth IRA and a traditional 401k. Now before we get into the details of these two accounts, what I want us to understand is that a Roth IRA and a traditional 401k are simply the code that's written into the IRS that allows us to invest into our retirement for a more financially secure future. So as we get into those details, I just want us to clearly understand that these are simply vehicles that we use to invest our money, and from that point forward, you're able to reap the benefits later on down the road. So with all that being said, let's jump into it. First, I'd like to talk to you about the 401k. Now there's a traditional 401k, an SEP 401k, and a Roth 401k, but I want to spend our time focused on the traditional 401k, which you may have heard about at your employer. Now a 401k is basically an investment vehicle that allows you to put in up to $19,500 a year into this account, which then allows you to invest into the stock market, and that money then can grow over time until you're 59 and a half, at which time you're able to take out the money that you've earned from that investment. Now, a few things you want to be aware of when it comes to a traditional 401k is that once you've put the money in, you're putting it in pre-tax, which means that it automatically comes out of your paycheck prior to it being taxed. Therefore, it will be taxed when you pull it out at a later time after the age of 59 and a half. Now, one of the benefits of a traditional 401k is that oftentimes an employer will match a contribution limit into the 401k. If your employer does this, it's very wise for you to take it because basically it's free money. You put in $1, they put in $1, or a certain percentage depending upon the regulations of your employer. All that being said, it's a good way to grow your investment and double it over time if you're having the investment also being matched by your employer. Now, with all that being said, there are some restrictions when it comes to a traditional 401k. What you're going to find is that you're not able to touch that money after you put it in. So once you put your money into a 401k, it needs to stay in there until you're 59 and a half before you can take any of that money out. If you decided to take that money out, you will pay a penalty of 10% as well as pay the tax on that income. So it's not really wise if you're looking to have this money in the next 5 to 10 years to really touch your 401k. You have to think of it for a long-term perspective. Although the one thing you're going to find is that if you're expecting yourself to be in a higher tax bracket at a later time when you're going to be moving forward towards retirement, it's really something you might want to consider the benefits of a Roth 401k, because that allows you to put the money in post-tax and then you are paying the tax earlier and not having to pay the tax later. All that being said, the benefits of a 401k are that you're investing in your financial future and your employer will most likely be able to match. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you today about is a Roth IRA. Now, a Roth IRA is a slightly different approach. What you can do with a Roth IRA is invest up to $6,000 post-tax money into this investment vehicle. Now, by doing so, what you're doing is you're saying to yourself, I'm going to put this money in after I've been paid by my employer, and then I'm taking that money and investing it into the Roth IRA and using that vehicle to invest in the stock market. There are some differences between a Roth IRA and a traditional 401k when it comes to what you're able to do with your money. Here are the regulations associated with a Roth IRA. First, that money that you're allowed to put in there, up to $6,000 a year, is going to grow tax-free until you reach the age of 59 and a half. After the age of 59 and a half, any money that you take out of the Roth IRA is tax-free because you paid the taxes on it when you first put the money in all those years ago. In addition, as the money grows and gains profit, you are also allowed to take the original investment that you put in the Roth IRA out. So for example, let's say that 5 years down the road, you've put thousands of dollars in this account and now it's worth double the amount perhaps. Then you're able to take out the original $1,000 or $2,000 without touching the profit. So that's only something you would do maybe in an emergency situation, but it's just good to be aware of. You won't be hit with any penalties or fees if you were to touch the original investment, or what is often referred to as the principal. You cannot touch the interest or the profit on that, because if you did that, then you'd be hit with a penalty and you wouldn't want to go down that road. Now, when it comes to the Roth IRA, there are some great benefits associated with it in the standpoint that you have a bit more flexibility in comparison to the traditional 401k. You'll also notice there is a different contribution limit. You're allowed to put up to $6,000 in a Roth IRA versus $19,500 into a traditional 401k. So what I would look at if I were you in your situation is assess the situation based off of your employer. If they are matching contribution limits to your 401k, strongly consider taking that option and going forward with it. If, on the other hand, you don't have an employer match, you might want to consider the Roth IRA. Now, in my personal circumstance, and I want to mention to you guys, this is not specifically financial advice. I just want to share with you the approach that I take when it comes to trying to save money for the future and plan for a very fruitful retirement. But I want to make clear that you make your own decisions and consult your own financial advisors and do anything you need to do to make the best decisions that will set you up for success. I just hope this information is helpful. But I use both a 401k as well as a Roth IRA. So you want to have a diversity of approaches when it comes to how you're going to invest into your future. Now, the benefits of doing this starting at a slightly younger age is that your investments will compound over time. So if you're sitting here right now, you're listening to this video and saying, Zach, when should I start? I would really suggest starting now, even if you're in your late teens, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, wherever you are, you want to start now because the benefits of the compound interest over time will multiply significantly, especially when you consider that the stock market on average, adjusted for inflation, will gain about 7% annually a year. And I know you might be saying to yourself, yeah, Zach, well, right now the stock market might be very low or very high. Totally get it. But on average, say over a 10 or 20-year period of time, the stock market will return about 7%. So it's a very wise long-term strategy and something that you want to consider moving forward. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, Zach, so let's say I want to open up a Roth IRA or I want to open up a 401k. Now, if you want to open up a 401k, talk to your employer and they will do that for you if your employer offers that. So if you open up a 401k, you're going to be given a myriad of options to choose from when you actually select your investments. Now, this is where things can get a bit complicated, and I generally tend to rely on simple approaches when it comes to personal finance because it's the best way to sustain a long-term strategy. So one of the things you can look at would be investing in what are called index funds. And then that investment would then track the index associated with the stock market. So if you were seeing the stock market go up 7%, your index fund should be going up 7%. If it goes down, it's going to go down. But overall, when you look at the long term of the stock market, the trend line is up. So that's something I would consider. And there are a couple of companies that have a long track record and history with low expense ratios that are something you might want to look at. And that specifically I would look at would be Vanguard. Now, I don't have any connection to Vanguard. I don't make any money from Vanguard. I'm just specifically telling you the company that I like to use when it comes to investing in index funds. You can look at their total stock market index, their S&P 500 index. You could also look at their international index. And then if you want to balance out your portfolio, you could also look at bond index. So you generally want to have a good ratio, depending upon where you are in your retirement age, of bonds to stocks. Right now, I use a ratio of 90% stocks, 10% bonds. And as you grow older, you might want to adjust that to increase the number of bonds that you have in your portfolio compared to stocks so that we don't have as much volatility when you reach retirement age. But the benefit of this is that it's a simple approach. So whether you're putting the money and investing it into a 401k or into a Roth IRA, or you're doing it for both, what you want to do is you want to look at index funds for the simplicity of you not having to sit back and manage every single day what the stock market is doing, where your investments are going. You can basically set it on autopilot, let it run its course, and then a couple of years from now you can see, okay, it's doing well, and then you might not even have to wait until you're 59 and a half, and hopefully you'll have a couple $1 million in the account. So it's really a wise approach to take, and it's simple, and it's something that just enables you to make these decisions now while you're younger to set yourself up for success moving forward. A quick review. A 401k is an employer retirement account which your employer may contribute to a matching percentage of the money that you place into this account. You're able to put $19,500 into it on an annual basis. This money is pre-tax, so you're putting it in before the taxes have been taken out. You can take the money out after you're 59 and a half, at which time you will pay taxes on that investment. Now, the benefits of this is you can put more money in, and also your employer may match. And if you're expecting yourself to be at a lower tax bracket when you retire, then you're doing yourself a benefit because perhaps you're less likely to pay higher taxes later on down the road. Now, a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account that is post-tax. So you're putting the money into that account after you've already paid taxes on it. And once you've done so, then that money grows tax-free until the age of 59 and a half, at which time you're able to take all the money out tax-free. Now, the limits on an annual basis are $6,000, and you're able to put the money into this account and let it grow over time. Well, if you're expecting yourself to be at a higher tax bracket when you're reaching the age of retirement, it might be beneficial to look at this option because you're paying the taxes now when you're potentially in a lower tax bracket. Now, these are two investment vehicles that allow you to plan for your financial future. I hope that as you listen to this and you think about it and consider your options, if you're wanting yourself to be set up for success in retirement, it's wise to begin thinking about it now. Now, I know you might be saying to yourself, well, Zach, I'd much rather have that money in my account, perhaps saving it or spending it and living in the moment. And I totally get it. But I would say this is part of a broader strategy of automating your finances. If you have this money going away, you don't even think about it, and basically if you place the money into an index fund, you don't have to consider it until later on down the road, and hopefully by the time you reach retirement age, you're going to see the significant nest egg that you've accumulated because of the wise decisions you've made at a young age. Now, I hope that you find this information helpful, and if you want me to describe any more, feel free to comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. In addition to this, I have other videos related to the intricacies of index funds, which I'd love for you to check out, and also I'd like for you to be able to understand that when I'm sharing this information with you, I sincerely just want to help because no one taught me this in school. My parents did not tell me about this at all. I basically have had to go through the myriad of information out there and find the information that is most suitable and obviously the stuff that is going to be the most successful long term, which isn't specifically relying on my own strategic plan and how I can invest specifically in the best stocks, but what has worked historically over time and produces the most positive results for those who've gone through the process previously. And that's the information I want to share with you because seriously, I see that our society is in a bit of a challenging situation when it comes to reaching retirement. And if you want to just be relying on Social Security or the money you've put into your savings account, those things are going to put you in a very difficult position later on down the road. With all that being said, I hope this information was helpful. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to it today, and I want to do everything I can to help you moving forward from here. So I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you have a great day.